what are you doing?
Swimming.
Stop what you're doing and listen. Cannonball!
All kids out of the pool.
This thing rules. The kangaroos.
Oh, hey, what's up? I'm Brian Altano.
And I'm Max Scoville.
This is a show where we discuss something we love,
Unpack why we love it,
explain where it came from,
try to remember our first impressions of it,
share our weird stories about it,
maybe learn something new about it along the way.
but first and foremost, we're here to celebrate the fact that this thing rules.
Cannonball!
Splash.
Splash. That's exactly what happens when you jump into the water.
You know why it took so long to respond to what you just did there? Because you did a cannonball off of a high dive.
I was just trying to jump right in. I want to talk about swimming. It's one of the most fun things you can do with water, I think.
It's in the top three behind drinking and showers, I would say. Or
you think it's behind? You think swimming is behind showers? You're out of your fucking mind. What are you talking
Showers
about?
are usually in front of where you go swimming, actually.
That's true. Okay, literally. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so it's summertime where we are. We both took little adventure trips to various bodies of water and did some splashing around and paddling. And it's just, I don't know. Like, my kid is currently in the middle of learning how to swim, and it's just the coolest. Like, it's just the best. And I've always had a good time just going to some body of water and splashing around. But like, I'm kind of having that, that whole thing where I'm like reliving childhood memories of when I first learned to swim and how like just it's basically getting a superpower because you're old enough to. I feel like a lot of this you don't remember learning to walk. You don't really. I don't know. You don't learn. You just start running before you have any clear memories of it, generally speaking. But swimming is like you're learning to do something. You're learning to traverse another element, which is pretty cool.
An element that like usually wins. I would say it's undefeated usually, but you can tempt fate for as long as possible by getting out there and doing a good swim. And like the thing is about swimming is that even if you can't do it, if you're scared by it, you could just do the doggy paddle, or what do you call it? Spread water? What do you tread water?
Spread water.
Yeah, you spread water to tread water. That's
strut. Strut some water.
Just a wet strut.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Swimming is actually like a very useful skill. There are plenty of people who don't know how to swim. Like that's a common thing among adults, shockingly.
Yeah, you should go down in the place and get some basic swimming lessons. It's good to have. Yeah. I've always loved it, and I think it was because I had two brothers growing up, and I'm almost sure that my dad did like the 80s Jersey City son of a truck driver method of teaching you how to swim, which was just throw you in. Mm-hmm. And that's what my dad would do. He would just throw us in. And if we were like help, he'd like reach an arm out and grab us or something like that. Or you'd learn to swim to the wall. Eventually it was just kind of like, all right, I figured it out. And like a lot of our vacations growing up were basically just about like, let's go somewhere where there's a pool or a body of water and just kind of fuck around and hang out all day. And that has informed most of the vacations I take growing up. Like I love to take vacations to like cities and stuff like that. Those are kind of like my favorite kind, where I get to bum around all day and explore places. And it's weird because it's like, this is hard to do in a lot of cities, but like we almost always try to book a hotel that also has a pool, just so we can be like, hey, if we had a long day, we can, we've been like on our feet all day. Let's go swim. And yeah, like, I don't know. I in the last couple of years, I've lived in San Francisco and a bunch of different places in North Bay. When I lived in San Francisco, pretty much I lived there for like 11, 12 years. And I had never gone swimming in the Pacific Ocean. And I was kind of like, I should fix this. And it's like, so for people listening at home, and for anyone who ever wants to visit California, a huge fucking state. One of the number one selling things in California is in San Francisco. And it's a hoodie that says like, I love SF. And that's because people come here in shorts and a t-shirt and they go, oh shit, I need to buy a hoodie. and they buy that hoodie. And like that is kind of like a running joke for tourists here. A lot of people think that when you come to the Bay Area, it's gonna be warm and sunny, and like honestly, it's not. Even when you get out, like I live in the North Bay now, and it gets warmer, and I love it. It's right. We get like actual proper summers here. But for most of the Bay Area, like it gets pretty it's chilly in the morning, it's chilly in the evening, and sometimes in the afternoon, like you just get like fog that shows up. When I lived in San Francisco, huge parts of it were foggy, and so like it just never really dawned on me to go to the beach. It's also like the beach in San Francisco is stupid. It's called Ocean Beach, which is just fucking it's just so dumb. But like I would go to the beach all the time and like walk around, hang out with friends, like have a couple beers or whatever, barbecue and stuff like that, you know, put your toes in and stuff. But like I never really went swimming. And then I had a kid and I moved to an area called the Inner Richmond, which is foggy a lot, but sometimes you get lucky in the summer. And we were just far enough where, and my kid was in a stroller, where we could hang a bunch of beach shit like a collapsible tent and some chairs and some other stuff and kind of hang it on the back of her stroller, some sand toys and stuff. And it was about a 15-minute walk to the beach. It was free to get there. And we would go in and it was fucking freezing. But I was like, I'm on a beach in California and I've always said I wanted to do this. And the first time I did it, I was like, okay, that water was like 45, 50 degrees. You know, not great. And it's like a 65, 69, 71 degree day out. Not great. But like I went out there and I swam like 100 feet out and like huge waves were coming over me. And I was like, this is one of the best feelings in the world. And little by little, like we would take our kid in and we started taking our kid to pools. We took our kid to swim lessons when she was 11 months old and took her to Cabo when right before she turned a year or right after she turned a year old. And I have all these videos of her like jumping into the pool and then swimming to the side and me catching her and putting little swimmies on her and stuff like that. And like, yeah, it's just been a thing her whole life for 7 years now. And because of that, it's been something that I've totally reconnected with and really loved.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, there's something really just primordial about it. Mm-hmm. You know, I feel like you could look up, you know, swimming history and it's like, well, you got to go back to before there was history. Like it's people would gather around bodies of water because that's a source of water and
food,
washing things. You can catch fish, you can do all that stuff. But it's also really funny to me because one of the crowning achievements of land vertebrates is the fact that they came out of the water. Mm-hmm. And I love that we're just like, let's go slum it. Let's go back to the water. Like I was just up in this is the most misleading place. So it's in California. It's near a place called Nevada City, and it's called Oregon Creek. It's almost like it's just trying to hide where it is, but it's basically a really cool river to just splash around in. Really good time. And there's something, I don't know, you feel like a bunch of just like, like primates like splashing around by the edge of the water. But then I was also, you know, with my friends, we're floating around in stupid inner tubes and drinking beer. And I'm just like, we're regressing to like a Precambrian life form. Like we're like, let's become as invertebrate as possible and go into this like marshy water and, you know, splash around.
It's that, or it feels very like Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn, kind of like, what do you want to do today? I don't know, fuck around.
Well, so growing up, I lived in Connecticut, and I lived literally across the street from the Housatonic River. Like there was my house, and there was a street, and then there was like a large sort of field, and then there would just be like basically a drop off where people would go kayaking or go fly fishing or whatever. And I didn't really do this too much when I was a kid. We usually go to like a lake and where it's like a little bit less of a hazard. But when I was older, when I was a teenager, my friends and I would go and we'd just be like, let's go fuck around in the river. And it's like a river is great unless it gets a little riled up, and then it can be a little bit terrifying. And I think I was maybe 14. And my friend was like, there's this place called the Drop Off. You got to check it out. It's a place where the water, the way it flows, it's moving pretty quickly. But if you stand on this one spot, you can stand perfectly still in the middle of the river. It's just like where there's like a rock that it just goes around or whatever, but it's still, your feet are in like, 10 inches of water or whatever. And he's like, check it out. You gotta just time it right. You gotta go, I think we had tubes or something, or might have just been paddling around. And he like showed me where it was, and I put my feet down and just hit like a spot of algae and just slipped and just ate shit and was suddenly just being washed down a river. You'd see, it's some shit that would happen to like Lara Croft or like a child in Jurassic Park or something. Like it's just a bit much. And I was kind of like, oh crap, oh fuck, like, and I eventually got to shore. It wasn't that big of a deal. Like I was probably a few feet down, but it kind of rattled me. Like it kind of made me avoid water for a while. And I was also just really like, I don't know, I was a chubby kid, so there was the added aspect of just being like, why would I take my shirt off around strangers? I don't want to do that. And so it kind of became this phobia. And so there's a long stretch where I just didn't really swim. Like I didn't really fuck with it. Like I as recently as when I was dating my wife, we went back to Connecticut where I'd lived, and there was a pond that I'd never actually swum across when I lived there. But my friend's like, let's go swimming. And my wife's like, cool, let's swim across the pond. And I was like, I'm not doing that. And she's like, are you fucking kidding me? Get in the water. Go swim in the lake. And I was like, oh, fine. And I think I managed to do it, but it was like, it was getting over a phobia. Like it was getting over a fear. Like I was full on like, I don't want to get in the water. I don't like the water. And I don't know. It's kind of nice to get to be past that. Like it was one of those things that really screwed with me for a while.
Yeah.
What's your favorite type of water to go in? Like, what's your favorite body of water, or man-made or otherwise?
It's probably oceans, even though they're the scariest and sometimes the grossest. But there's something just like immensely refreshing about like looking out and seeing nothing but water. Mm-hmm. Like there's and I love the waves, and I love like in terms of like having a kid who can play with toys and stuff like that on the side. Like oceans are way more fun than like lakes and streams and ponds and shit. 'Cause on the side of those things, they're just kind of sitting there fucking around with dirt and sticks.
Yeah, it depends on where you're going. Sometimes they got sand, but most of the time it's like mud, which is stinky. But yeah, I'm with you on the ocean stuff. The oceans can be scary, you know. Like I grew up going to before I lived in Connecticut, which does not really have much in the way of oceans. But like I remember going to like Manchester by the sea, like near Boston, and like just really cool like rocky areas. I remember going to like Maine one summer and having a good time. And I just remember there being a lot of tide pools and a lot of like sort of other activities besides swimming. Like swimming might not have been the best. You'd get in the water and get chased by waves, but then there'd be like weird crevices full of little hermit crabs and you know, strange creatures. And there was it was almost like a kind of a variety pack, you know. It was like those were the side quests of the overall, you know, campaign of getting in the water.
It's weird because where I grew up in New Jersey, we were closer to New York than we were closer to the Jersey Shore. And the Jersey Shore was like actually a place we didn't like going because it took like an hour and a half with traffic and all that shit to get there. And we'd get there and there would be like just crap in the water and like jellyfish, and like occasionally there'd be like, oh, there was a hurricane the other day, so there's 10-foot waves full of snails or whatever. Yeah. And so like it took me a while to be like, oh, I actually like the ocean. But like my wife and kid, once a year we drive down to Santa Barbara and we go to some beaches there, and they're just like totally chill and they're beautiful and they're really nice. And that's where it's like, okay, I get it. This is what I'm into.
The reason for that, I've actually never been to Santa Barbara, but it's like a little bay kind of. Like it's got like a little alcove that's basically out of the general Pacific fuckery of coldness. Because like I feel like the Pacific Ocean is misleadingly titled. Like it's typically like pretty, you know, it's pretty wavy depending where you go. But like if you're in like a little crevasse in the land, it's kind of nice. I went in. I don't know. I've been to Hawaii like a couple times, and I was like, again, that was pretty early. I was like, you know, ages ago, the first time I went, and I was definitely like a little iffy about getting in the water still. And we get in the water, and it's just like perfect temperature. It's like turquoise blue. But then there's just sea turtles fucking bopping around. There's just like big goofy bastards, just kind of like
shit,
bow. And then the fish come along and eat the poop off their backs or whatever. And it's just like, I don't know. It was. I still was like a little wary of like, oh, I'm on an island in the middle of the largest body of water on the planet. Things could go awry here easily. So I'm like, I'm kind of iffy on the ocean still, you know, in a kind of general Lovecraftian sense. Like there's kind of an abyss there, and I'm not really about to trifle with it.
We showed my kid Jaws last year for the first time because we were just running through classic movies, and we showed it to her like in the middle of May, and then we took her on a bunch of beach vacations, and it was like, that's a bad idea. And like my wife and I will watch like any shitty shark movie there is, and she's fucking not terrified of them, but like it's a thing that she brings up more than you should. And for the amount of frequency that like we fly into Newark Airport, which like since the last few months has become like, I would say, more dangerous than just like holding a bunch of stakes and standing in the middle of the ocean around a bunch of sharks. And you know, like, I don't know, it's definitely a fear. It's a thing that can happen, but that's also like, something bad can happen to you in any body of water. And I think if you swim out far enough, or you're out there long enough, or you're not taking care of yourself, or blah 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 blah, all that, anything bad can go down. But if you're smart and safe about it, then swimming is a fucking blast.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've both gone. I don't know if I'd call it swimming, but we've gone in water with crocodile or alligators, which was a objectively stupid thing to do.
That was wading. Yeah, we waded in water with crocodiles. We've done a bunch of dumb shit.
Yeah,
man.
we've done in the hovercrafts. For those of you listening at home, check out episode 1 of this stupid show where we talk about alligators and how much we love them. I realized that a lot of I totally forgot this. There's a number of factors that made me not want to get in the water, and one of them was a lot of the swimming I did early on was in a lake. And it was this, lake in my town. And there was like a little beachy part where somebody had dumped a bunch of sand out, and it was cool. But then there were just kind of like janky parts where you'd get like sort of away from the sand, and you would just, if you put your foot down, it would just get like mired in weeds and just like lake weeds. And I just really didn't like that feeling. It was definitely like a weird sensory thing. And so there was kind of like, it's not really the floor is lava because you're in water. That's a moot point. But I would be basically trying to avoid that, and then I would occasionally come up on a dock or head towards the dock, and there'd just be big ass spiders. And I have this very early memory of being at summer camp, which I hated to begin with, and they were like, everybody has to do swim practice or whatever, and it was like, you got to jump off one dock and you got to swim all the way out in the water to the bigger dock, and along the way there's just all these lake weeds sticking up like it's a Donkey Kong Country level or whatever.
Yeah,
and I get I'm huffing and puffing. I'm almost to the dock, and I'm about to go up the ladder, and this dock spider about the size of my hand just runs under the ladder, kind of, and it's just sitting there, and they were like, get out of the water, and I was like, fuck no. And they were like,
you find creatures anywhere. There's no reason.
Yeah, but I didn't want to.
Don't let spiders scare you away from the idea of lakes. You're big. Lakes are bigger than spiders. You're bigger than spiders. You're bigger than some lakes.
I didn't want to get, but I mean, it was like, okay, out of the frying pan into the spider, or whatever. And this one camp counselor, who I want to say was Australian, and was just like, did not give a shit. It was like, that's a tiny spider compared to the ones we have back home. He just took an oar and splashed water on it. Was like, does that help? And it just ran inside the dock, and I was like, that actually makes it worse, because now I don't know where it is, but
now
I know it's in there
somewhere.
So I don't. Yeah, I have this one not so fond memory that is in hindsight sort of funny, where I was just like paddling around in the lake, and I was on my back, and I was just like, I'm a great, beautiful beluga whale. I'm just like, doing the backstroke and kind of like spacing out, looking at the sky. And I'm like, I'm just gonna close my eyes. And I was paddling along, and then suddenly it got really shady, and I opened my eyes, and I had gone directly underneath one of the docks. And it was just looking up at a bunch of like weird haunted house looking creepy stuff hanging down, and I sort of panicked and put my feet down, and it went like up to my thighs in mud and lake weeds and stuff. And I'm deeply relieved there wasn't any like rusty boards or nails or anything down there, because that could have been.
I mean, have you gone? So there's a lot of spots. We live in the Bay Area, right? There's a lot of spots in the Bay where there's tide shifts. And you can swim there, but like depending on when and where the tide goes, you can swim out, and it's beautiful and it's warm. The
tide goes in the washing machine. That's where I put it.
It does. But no, it'll basically, like, the tides getting higher or lower will change the water levels, and you will have to look at basically a website before you go swimming. And there's a place called China Camp in San Rafael in North Bay, California. And it's in Marin County, and me and my wife and my kid would go there all the time. We still go there every now and then because it's a short drive from us. And I got us a paddleboard to go out there and fuck around. It's beautiful. It's really nice. We have one of those like little tents, but you have to look on the website before you go to see how high or low the tide is. And if you don't, you can go to the beach on a hot day, ready for the most beautiful day ever, and there's just like 150 feet of mud. And I didn't know what this was because I didn't grow up in a place that had this, because where I grew up, like, I wasn't near the ocean. And when I did go to the ocean, it was just the ocean, right? But bays, like I didn't have a bay in New Jersey, right? We had a Bayonne, New Jersey, which is a town, but we didn't have a bay. And so we went to this bay once, and my wife was getting stuff out of the car, and me and my kid, she was paying for parking. It was like $5 to park for the day. And me and my kid grabbed a bunch of stuff. She was like 3 at the time. And we go running down the beach, and I'm like, this is fucking weird. This beach is like muddy and dark brown and it stinks. Like, what is this? And I was like, well, maybe we have to cross this part to get to the water. And I had a pair of these, like I had just gotten a new pair of like Adidas slides, basically, like the flip-flops. And I took one step in this mud and just sunk like 3 feet, like quicksand, and like had to quickly scramble out. And
Lost your shoe.
Yeah, lost my shoe, and my daughter comes running up the beach to my mom, or to my wife, and she goes, "Mama, Dad is sinking. We almost lost him." And I was like, "It's fine," because I thought you could actually walk across the mud to get to the water part. I'm like, "We'll just do that if we want to swim," and it's like, "No, you can't." But so when you go back there on a good day, the water's lovely, but when your feet touch the ground in certain parts, it just feels like Jello. So I'm always just kind of like, yeah, I don't really know if I want to swim there. I don't know if you're really
selling me on this, man. The
yeah, I don't.
$5. The ground is quicksand.
Yeah, I mean,
it's wet. It's Jello.
This is what sucks about where we live. Like isn't really a lot. Like you can go to pools and stuff like that, but there isn't. Like the Bay Area isn't really a great place to swim.
No,
you know.
No. I want to talk about pools because we are both, children of the 80s and 90s, whatever. And I feel like pools have been a victim of shrinkflation for safety reasons.
Yeah,
like probably. I remember in the growing up, and maybe this is like an East Coast versus California thing, where like California has more lawsuits, and so they're like, you got to make this thing shallower so people are less likely to drown. I remember like 10 feet being pretty standard for like the deep end of a pool, and now I rarely see it. Like I'm kind of and I don't know, when you're a kid, it's great because you're gonna jump off. They're also diving boards; those aren't really a thing anymore because they maim and kill people all the time, and it's
I basically almost every time I book like a weekend getaway or a hotel anywhere with my family, I try to make sure there's a pool there. And I can tell you, my kid has probably been in 50 different pools, and I think the only time she's ever been on a diving board is at the pool that my brother-in-law put in his backyard in New Jersey. And the only time she's been at a deep end that's like deeper than 8 feet is at a place called the Flamingo Hotel in Santa Rosa. And other than that, I think that like 5 feet, 6 feet has been literally the deepest pool that she's been in. And this is not me being like, oh, let me find only shallow pools. Like you're right. They just don't. Yeah, they just don't do that.
Yeah, I think it's just full on a liability thing. Maybe it's to save some water because if you've got to fill the thing and it's dry. I honestly don't know. There's probably a straight.
I mean,
answer
we
for
do
that.
like there is major drought problems in California, and in some towns and counties they've actually capped the amount of new pools that can be built. So like they'll be like, hey, we did a count, and
I'm going to go ahead and say that us wading into the depths of California code for putting in pools probably over our head, but no,
at least something
is
because the deep end isn't.
It is that same thing where like as a kid, you remember a Snickers bar being yay big, but then as you get older, you get bigger, but it gets smaller too, and you're like, what happened there? One thing I didn't realize, total tangent here. There's like East Coast and West Coast butter.
No.
Yeah. In the East Coast, the butter is like long and skinny, and then the West Coast they like make it short and fat. It's super weird. It's like I thought I was going crazy. I thought they just made the butter smaller when I moved out here. It's different shaped butter. It's the same amount of butter, but it's a different size. Anyway,
speaking of butter, who was not a good swimmer is Augustus Galloop.
Do you think you could swim in chocolate?
No, I watched him not do that. He went right into a tube and got shot up.
I don't think it would be a good time to swim in chocolate. I wouldn't enjoy that very much. I went to this pool growing up that was like a weird cross between a lake and a pool. Like there was this weird place where somebody had hollowed out like a sort of, a big bold pond shape. But
a swimming hole. Yeah.
A swimming hole. But wait, no. So they paved it over though.
Okay.
Yeah, it was weird. I've never seen anything like this before. And it definitely felt kind of janky because there would be like they used that kind of like, I don't know, that whatever a polymer the inside of a pool is made out of, but they would there would be air bubbles underneath in certain places, and
So they did something like this in my town, but they actually didn't go as far as they did with you. Like they didn't pave it over. It was like it had diving boards and it had structures that were concrete in and around it, but the bottom of it was still dirt and it was full of geese all the time.
That's awful.
Yeah, it sucked.
This one was great. I'm sure geese got in there at some time or another because they're always out there to ruin somebody's Saturday. But it was just like a giant white pond. And so you could see the bottom. There was a big, huge diving board. It was shockingly deep in the middle. It was one of those places where you'd go after those silly diving rods or diving rings or whatever. You
Oh yeah,
go down to the bottom, get a headache, bring those back up, cause irreversible eardrum damage or what have you. But yeah, it was just I don't know what the deal was. It was one of those places we would just go to all the time. And yeah, I wonder if it's still there or if there's a reason that people don't do it more often. I can't imagine it was like super stable, I guess. Like I feel like it got gross easily. But...
Yeah, the one we had got like you couldn't see more than like 4 inches under the water, and we went there all the time. That ice cream trucks and playgrounds and basketball courts and soccer fields and all that shit nearby. But it was nasty. Like it was just gross. Maybe it's gotten better since then, but in like the 80s and 90s, it was just like you would go there swimming and there would just be like 100 geese, and you'd be like, "Don't you guys have a different place to go?" Like you're only here. Like if I was a goose, I wouldn't be in a pool because I'd be like, "There's no fish or whatever geese eat, algae and shit like that."
I don't think geese eat anything. I think they just show up to like ruin people's day. Like,
it just fucking hiss and shit and piss and
they want to shit
yell
all over the soccer field and they want to scare a kid, bite someone.
I was swimming in Lake Tahoe over the weekend, which it's lovely, but also it's very funny because it's like you walk 7 feet and you're like, it goes from like 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, 5 foot, 7 foot. I don't know. Bottom of the earth. Yeah. Like it has this fucking crazy drop off, and that's kind of scary to me. I mean, obviously so does the ocean, but there's something about a lake doing that where I'm kind of like, oh, I don't know, man. But it was really chill. It's cool there because there's mountains all around it, and they have snow all over them. And if you're there in the middle of the summer, you're swimming and you look up and you see these like snow on these mountains, and you're like, where the fuck am I? Like this feels like as a New Jersey kid, like I was like, I don't get it. We didn't have that. We had a very clear delineation of seasons, and like California's weird because you can go, and I've done this before, but like I've driven from Lake Tahoe in the winter where it's like cold out and there's snow everywhere. And then I've gone to Sonoma Square and gone wine tasting in the same day because they're like 3 hours and 20 minutes apart or something like that. And it's that whole thing where people in LA are like, oh, you can go surfing and skiing in the same day. And you're like, yeah, right, you fucking liar. And it's like, oh, you can. That's weird.
No, I always kind of say about California that it's the difference between that and, New England or East Coast or whatever is over there. The weather is like a relative who shows up unannounced, like crazy Uncle Tony who shows up and drives drunk and parks in the driveway and then needs to crash on the couch because him and his old lady are on the outs or whatever. You don't know when he's gonna leave. And then like in California, it's like visiting grandma. It's like you can do it. You're like, oh, we'll go to the snow. Go to the snow is a thing people say that just kind of still weirds me out.
Yeah,
it's like it doesn't come to you.
Yeah, we did it over Christmas break where my kid was like, Christmas was really great, but I've never seen snow. And I was like, all right, fucking Dickensian orphan. Fuck. And I was like, all right, you know what? Surprise snow trip. Get in the car. Let's go to the snow. But no, we went there to swim and it's great. And it was very funny because we found this like private beach and they charged some money to go there, and there was like nobody there, and it's beautiful. And on the way in, the lady's like, there was this like little cop, right? Not a cop, but like this
little cop.
Yeah, she's just like this. She was this lady who was just like, hey, you can't get in here because we don't allow any alcohol. And I was like, oh, okay. And she goes, is it okay if I check your cooler? I'm like the worst liar ever. So I go, yeah, but there's beer in there. And she goes, oh, no. And I go, all right, I'll just walk it back over there to the car. And then my wife does the funniest thing. We go and we set up our tent and our cooler's in the car. And the car is like 50 feet from the hotel. right? Like it's basically at our hotel, so we didn't even need to get it. We didn't even need to drive it. And my wife goes and gets these big folding chairs that are in these like those covers, you know, and they have those like zip covers on them. And she put like 5 or 6 cocktails in each one and walked out like the fucking Terminator and just walked right by and was like, "Hi, I've got my wristband. So is it cool if I come in?" And they're like, "Yeah, come on in." And she comes out and she's like, "Check it out, love. Look what I got." And I was like, "You're fucking awesome. I love you so much."
I love that.
But yeah, it was very funny. But no, it's like yeah, swimming out here is weird. It's very there's one thing that we should talk about that doesn't rule. Notice this in a lot. Well, okay, yeah, drowning
in your ears.
That's bad. I hate when that happens. That happened to me a couple months ago, where it was just in there for like 3 days. When fucking dudes fucking pee in the pool, man.
Yeah, that's not great.
It's and you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you.
Babes can do that too, by the way.
Yeah, babes can do that too. I feel like they don't do it as often. I'm gonna for any women listening to the show or anybody who hasn't noticed this before, and I don't do this. I have done it in the past in an emergency, but generally I will get up and walk to the fucking bathroom because I don't want parasites and shit going up my pee hole and all that.
Gotta watch out for those Kandiro fish in the pool.
Yeah, there's like you said you were swimming in a river, right? Like there's fucking animals and shit in there, right? And I was in a lake. Like it's just I don't know what the fuck they got in there. There's all sorts of weird.
I'll be in a lake or a river. That's fine. That's
really.
Yeah.
Dude, you're fucking nuts, man. There all sorts of shit can float up your dick. Get in your brain.
There's pee coming out of it.
That's their chance, though. They swim upstream.
That I don't follow.
What? No. This is like a whole thing. Like peeing in like in bodies of water that are like in nature is bad. Like you shouldn't do it. Bad things can happen. I mean, swimming
can happen regardless. I just don't. I don't feel like my dick operates like the spaceships from Independence Day, where they have to open up a big thing to shoot stuff out of it. I don't.
So when you go swimming in a river, you don't just get out and go behind all the trees. There's the bevy of trees by the river.
No, I feel like that's. I don't know. That I'll do that sometimes maybe, but mostly I'm just like it depends on the vibe. If there's like a bunch of people hanging around, probably not. But it's also like if it's a big enough river,
It's gross. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know you anymore.
Yeah.
Terrible. No, so I watched the guy do this in Lake Tahoe the other day, and this is a move that you'll see every one of these guys do. They will walk out just up to their waist or just beneath their belt area, and they'll put their hands on their hips and they'll look around and be like, "Wow, look at the splendor." And they kind of just like, they pretend like, wow, what a cool thing. What a great day to be out.
Where did I park my car?
Yeah, where did I park my car? And they're out there for the exact duration of like a normal or lengthy piss that an adult man does after
they didn't have embarrassing boners.
He could have that. Could have that. Men also be doing that too.
Yeah. No, man, it is funny how much awkwardness there is around pools, because ultimately it's like basically a bunch of people putting on silly party versions of underwear and then showing most of their bodies off and splashing around, and it's like, it's a place, it's a pool is full of chemicals and you gotta wash them off, so there's showers and stuff, but you're walking around barefoot, but you can still get athlete's foot, and
you get sand. And you got to wash the sand off.
You got to wash the sand off. Okay, you want to know a trick? Here's a great trick. It's not about peeing in the pool. When you get sand on your feet, you're like walking back from the beach and you're going to the car, and then you got to sort of wait for it to dry off or whatever.
Yeah.
Get like baby powder or foot powder, and just like put that on your feet, and it immediately sucks up all the moisture, and the sand will just like dust right off.
And then you get baby powder in your car.
Well, it's better that than a bunch of sand. You do it. You sit on the the tailgate, or you sit with your feet outside of the car. You don't do it in the car.
What you got to do is you piss on your feet.
That's one option. That's what you get. You get rid of the jellyfish and the sand that way.
I forgot that I think I read some story about like Madonna doing that in the shower. She's like, "It's good for your feet. I piss on my feet in the shower." And I'm like, I don't know if that's like a true thing or one of those like 90s urban legends, like Blossom overdosed on coke,
or like
which
clear the ghost. What in God's name is that?
I have a job of the.
Clearly.
I have a job with a hot popcorn bucket that just started talking. It's supposed to only talk when it opens up.
I'm deeply concerned. That was weird.
I'm glad I'm not doing like a news video or something for work, and I'm like, fucking, I don't know. Tom Cruise was killed today, and it's like,
that's a strange sound to hear.
That is okay.
Anyway,
I guess there's no way to turn that off.
What's the highest thing you ever jumped off of into a body of water?
Probably your dad's ass. I think that was no. Let's see, the highest thing. Okay. So yeah, I've talked about this in on other shows in the past, but there was this place called Action Park in New Jersey. That had there's a whole documentary on it on HBO if you've never seen it, but it was like a water themed, mostly water themed theme park in middle of fucking New Jersey, run by stoned teenagers who weren't paying attention, and it got shut down because of lawsuits and injuries and deaths, and they had a bunch of shit there that was basically just like a little just water based fuck around activation, and they had this one thing that was like a Tarzan swing where you could swing over like a river and jump. And then they had another thing that was just like a big, huge fucking cliff. And we did the big, huge fucking cliff. And it's just, you just jumped off this, like, I was like 9 or 10 at the time. So it felt like the tallest thing in the world. It was probably not that bad. Or that's also people died on it. But that felt like crazy, crazy tall. We were in this place called. Have you ever been to Cayucos Beach? Mm-mm. Yeah, it's this little town on the way down to like Southern California, and it's a really beautiful beach. Except for like there's like a 1 in 5 chance that like the thickest pirate ship fog on Earth will roll through, and you're like, okay, cool. I guess we'll just have lunch and leave instead of spending the afternoon here. And we were there, and it was super foggy. But we were like, we've been in the car for 2.5 hours. Let's get out, stretch our legs. And there's this really long, tall dock there, and there was this swimming club there of kids that were like 9, and they were jumping with instructors off the top of this thing that had to be like 50 feet high into the water, swimming back and doing it again. And we watched 11 kids in a row do it, and the 12th kid just like froze. He froze for like 10 minutes, and the people up top were like, come on, you can do it. And then the other kids down below were like, fucking pussy chicken shit. Like, it was like he was sandwiched in between like motivation and like just harassment. Yeah. So he ultimately didn't do it. My heart says that he went back and did it, or he quit that swimming club that day, because you don't need that kind of bullying.
That's how you get stuff up your pee hole, is jumping off of a cliff into the water.
Yes, I agree. And also peeing in a river.
So I did the jumping off stuff all the time. Like, I remember when I was a kid, there was this one place we would go to, this one river, and there was like an overpass, like a bridge. There was like an overpass. There's like a regular ass street that would go over it. And I don't know how my mom was cool with this, because she was generally like, oh no, a scary part of a movie, cover your eyes. And she was like, oh, you want to go jump off a literal bridge? Sure, go for it, whatever. And I would just go up top, and I'd be like, there'd be cars coming and going, and there'd just be a bunch of little kids shimmying along in their bathing suits, and then hopping up on the guardrail and just jumping off and like plummeting down there, doing a big cannonball. Fun as hell. Probably unsafe. There was no lifeguard present, but I had a great time doing that. And I don't know, fast forward, a bunch of years, whatever. And I was that same sea turtle trip to Hawaii, and there was a little cliff there that seemed, again, in the same way that pools seem deeper when you're a kid, but actually maybe they are shallower now, whatever. This was a cliff that didn't look particularly high. Like, I was watching a bunch of people jump off of it. It looked like, 15 feet or something. And it was, people jumping, and there's like a little splash. You're like, that's not like a cliff jumping thing.
Did you belly flop?
I'll go up there. What?
Did you belly flop?
No, I definitely got water in my butt, though. But no, I went up there. I went up there, and there was a thing that happened where I feel like, you hear about teenagers are missing that part of their brain that tells them don't do stupid shit. Like, they haven't developed that yet. I feel like between the jumping off of a bridge to go in the river and me jumping off this little cliff, that whole part had kicked in, or I had developed that, and I got up there, and my body was just like, no. Like, it was trying to put a cat in the bath. Like, my body was like, Why would you jump off of that? You don't want to do that. And I was like, but I want to. My wife's down there calling me a pussy. Like, if I don't jump off of this thing, I will look like a fool. And also, it looks fun from a distance, but when you're actually up there doing it, your brain is like, stop it. Stop. Don't do it. And eventually I just like forced myself off, and then, subsequent leaps into the abyss were considerably easier, aside from water going places. But like,
I've gotten like gradually more scared of heights as I get older, and not in like I'm fine on like airplanes and roller coasters and shit like that. But like I was in Santa Cruz on just like one of those shitty fucking, the ski lift things that just go horizontal across the park. What are they called? The sky lift or whatever.
It's like a ski lift without the skis.
Yeah, everybody has a different name for them, right? And they're like at every theme park. And we were like, it's like 20 feet above the boardwalk, and my wife and kid were in the one in front of me, and I was the one behind them. And I was like, this is like the most scared I've ever been on a ride. But it's like, so if at this point, if you put me at the top of a cliff and you're like, jump, I'll be like, no, I'll walk around and I will go home and go to sleep.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of the same way. My whole thing is that, and this is generally with stuff that I'm not considering jumping off of. It's like things that I'm like, if I fell from this, I would die. But like, I'm tall, so my center of gravity is usually around or above the height of most railings. So I'll just like stay away from them. I don't want to go there because like if a strong gust of wind came along, I would just go head over heels.
Have you gone? There's like that tower, Tokyo Tower, I think it's called, and they have like one of those like glass floor things where you stand on it and you're like, oh, look how high I am. Yeah, I did that, and I looked down and I was just like, fuck you. Don't fucking put this here. Yeah. Not swimming at all. The opposite of swimming. It's more like flying. But yeah.
You ever done a glass bottom boat ride?
I have it was a long time ago. I don't remember seeing anything. I remember just seeing water. Like, I don't remember it being that great.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think I want that. I think it seems like you're tempting fate there.
I'll
jump off a cliff. I'll go in the water with the turtles, but I don't want to see in the ocean animal house.
I have gone like snorkeling and stuff before. That's fun. And I went with my mom was like notoriously terrible at swimming, which is really funny because she was an immigrant from like a fishing town in southern Italy, right?
So
like
literally because she couldn't go in the water and get the fish.
Yeah, like literally grew up on the water and was just like, nope, not going in there. And I think the big thing with her was like they had all sorts of sea anemones and shit in the water, so you would just go out there for a splish splash and step on this fucking Dark Souls boss. So she just didn't do it. But then we would go on vacations, and I had two brothers, and we were like, we're going swimming, we're going in the ocean, we're going to the pool, going to the crick, whatever, the spigot, all the shit. Anything you could find, any body of water we would jump in, any fucking pond. We used to swim in the, there was a little shitty footbridge at the bottom of my street growing up, and there was a river in there in New Jersey, and this river led all between and underneath underpasses and through tunnels, and it was basically just highways. There was a power plant like a mile down the street that dumped all sorts of shit into it. Like people were probably throwing there was fucking eels in there, crawfish, fucking dead rabbits on the side, and we would just go in there and swim. And like after it rained a lot, you'd go in there and be like, yo guys, it's like 4 feet deep, let's go jump in the river. And we would just go hang out down there. And it's like, this was not like a natural, it was a natural river at one point, but it was mostly just like kind of grotesque.
Bush light cans down there.
Yeah, no. So we went snorkeling once, and my mom we had got her swimming lessons like a week before, and she didn't take to them. And they gave her these flip flops, and I remember her like just stomping on like not a coral reef, but everything around it. And she got her foot stuck in this huge like stick, and was just like stomping like crazy. And we were like snorkeling, and all the water was cloudy, and all the fish like got the fuck out of Dodge. And we were like, all right, we're not taking you in here anymore.
Dear God.
Yeah.
Well, that's not swimming. That's stomping on the
that is it. We
snorkeling.
wanted it to be swimming, but we were just like, it's too cloudy. We're getting out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. Swimming's a good time. A lot of different ways to do it. I think swimming rules, if you ask me. But there should also be rules about swimming, like don't run by the pool.
Yeah, and don't go in there if you've had diarrhea in the last however many hours it says on the sign. They're big on that. Don't do that.
You can pee out the front, just not out the back. That's the rule for the pool.
Not
the pool, the water. Don't
pee in the pool either.
Diarrhea.
Just get up, go out and go to the bathroom. Go to the pool. You go to the bathroom.
But
You
don't
have
run
to go.
if you really have to go because you could slip.
You don't need to pee. You don't need to pee in the pool, the river, the lake, the pond, the ocean, the stream, the crick, the spigot. None of those things. You don't have to pee in any of those things. You
don't
gotta go to
have
the
to.
bathroom. Stop doing it, Max.
Don't go swimming in the bathroom. Anyway,
Stop fucking peeing in the
all
rivers
right,
and shit, man.
Everybody out of the pool. It's time to get out.
Yeah, because
Dry
Max
out.
peed in it. You got to get out. It's disgusting.
Raisin fingers. Get the hell out. We're done. I'm going to stand here for 30 seconds with my hands on my hips. Don't ask me about it. Good night. This Thing Rules is made possible thanks to the support of our Patreon backers. If you'd like to help us keep the lights on and get some extra bonus stuff for yourself, you can go kick us $1 or $2 at patreon.com/thisthingrules. But really, every little comment, like, subscribe, share, or other form of engagement goes a long way. So if you've got a minute, give us a plug on social media, or go give us a nice review on iTunes, or just write something weird. I don't care. It's nice that you made the effort.
Out of the pool, let's go.
No can do, Dave.
Come on, Richardson. You're being a tool, man.
There's no tool in this pool, and I'd happily get out if you, let me join your crew.
Can't join the crew, Richardson. Don't do anything.
And before we go, just a big, huge special thank you to our Patreon executive producers. That means Ben Burkhalter, Anthony DePiro, Nick Vaughn, Paul Atienza, Steve Cam, Caleb Hilliard, Billy McKendry, Chip Chunkling, and Kevin Lemasurier. Thank you all so much for your continued support.